6 signs that you are marked by God. Have you ever felt like you're different or set apart in ways you can't explain? That might be because God has marked you. Being marked by God isn't just about favor, it's about having a purpose and being chosen for something greater. Let's look at 6 signs that show you are marked by God and see if you can relate. 1. You face unusual attacks. Ever feel like all hell is breaking loose against you, even when you're doing everything right? That's because being marked by God puts a target on your back for the enemy. Just look at Joseph. His own brothers betrayed him and sold him into slavery. Why? Because they were jealous of the favor God placed on his life. Genesis 37:18-28. The enemy tries to stop what God has anointed, but don't worry, God's protection is stronger than any attack. 2. You feel out of place in the world. Do you sometimes feel like you don't fit in? It's because you're not meant to. Jesus said in John 15:19, "If you belonged to the world, it would love you as its own. But you do not belong to the world, because I have chosen you out of the world." Being marked by God means you're called out, set apart for something bigger. You're in the world, but not of it. So if you feel out of place, take heart. It's a sign that you're marked for heaven, not just earth. 3. You have an unshakable desire for God's presence. If you're marked by God, you won't be satisfied with surface-level faith. You'll crave His presence like a deer pants for water. Psalm 42:1. You'll want to worship, pray, and dive into His word like nothing else can satisfy. Even in your weak moments, there's a longing to be closer to Him. This desire is a mark that you are chosen and called into a deeper relationship with Him. 4. You feel a heavy burden for others. Have you ever felt crushed by the pain or lostness of others? That's because when God marks you, He also imparts His heart to you. Moses felt this when he saw his people suffering and couldn't stay silent. Exodus 2:11-12. If you have a burden for brokenness, if you weep for souls to be saved, or if you ache to see justice where there's injustice, that's God's mark on you. He's calling you to carry His love to a hurting world. Tract 5. You experience uncommon favor. Being marked by God doesn't just bring attacks, it also brings uncommon favor. Look at Esther. She was chosen as queen out of thousands of women. Esther 2:17. God gave her favor so she could save her people. If you find doors opening that you didn't knock on or opportunities coming your way that don't make sense, that's a sign of God's favor. It's because He's positioning you for a specific purpose. 6. You can't run away from your calling. Ever tried to run from what God is calling you to do? You might try to avoid it, but God's hand keeps pulling you back. That's what happened to Jonah. He tried to run away to Tarshish, but God sent a storm, a whale, and a second chance to get him back on track. Jonah 1-3. If you're marked by God, He won't let you go. You might feel confused, unqualified, or even scared, but God will keep pursuing you until you step into what He's called you to do. Being marked by God means you're chosen, set apart, and anointed, but it's not always easy. You'll face battles, burdens, and tests that others don't, but it's because you're carrying something extraordinary. So don't be discouraged. If you see these signs in your life, it's proof that God's hand is on you. Drop an amen if you have God in your heart. My blessings come from the grace of God, and please follow me so I can share it with you. Leave us a follow for more videos. God bless.